everyone, welcome to a Friday Sews video, which is sewing and life catch up of what I've been up to this week. I have been on Easter break this week. I have another one for next week, so I've had time to sort of like plan ahead and do bits and pieces. And I've been working on New Look 6351. Now, I bought this off eBay for about £4.50. I mean, you've got elasticated trousers there, you've got a t-shirt and elasticated skirt, but I wanted the jacket. So this jacket is a 3/4 length sleeve. It doesn't have a big stand-up collar, it's unlined. It looked like it would be quite an easy one to make. Now, in the last year, I've had 2 job interviews over Zoom. I mean, they're quite awkward, but I had to dress obviously up from the waist upwards. I have a suit which is like years old and it's too tight, so I needed to have something. The interviews came up spur of the moment, like quite short notice, so I quickly ordered a blazer online. It was just a black one and it was just like, oh, what am I gonna wear? So I thought I would get ahead and make a jacket which would be multi-purpose. So I have a wedding coming up next month, but also I'm thinking maybe there'll be more job interviews come up in the future as well, and obviously I want to sew my colour palette. So let me show you what I've got. Now, if you are an avid viewer of mine, you will have seen this fabric, which is a Viella fabric, which I had to Google. It was a wool cotton blend, and it was given to me by Clare from Stitch Hem Sew as part of an Instagram giveaway, like a challenge she did over Christmas. And I won a prize, and it was a load of fabric that she sent me. And there was about 4 meters of this. And I just thought it was a lovely colour, nice sky blue colour. It doesn't, so it's unlined, and it is a 3/4 length sleeve, and it doesn't have like the stand-up collar. So let me just try this on. So I did think maybe it would go over a dress for a wedding, and if I thought no, that's not suitable, I thought this would be quite smart for a job interview as well. What do you think? So it's a princess themed jacket, and it just has interfacing at the front here, and I didn't put any interfacing in anywhere else. Now, I did make my own bias binding out of the same fabric because I didn't have anything else on to hand, which was quite bulky, I'll admit, because it's quite, by the time you've like sewn it all, and then because I've enclosed the seams, there's that Hong Kong seams, is that what it's called? So you enclose, I mean, the pattern doesn't say that. The pattern tells you just to finish the seam. So you could just run the seam through your overlocker and just have that raw cotton, you know, the thread on the inside. But I wanted it to be a bit more enclosed. So, but now one thing is, I kind of ran out of steam because it took a little while to get this to fit right. And so when the facing is, I have just used my pinking shears, if you can see that there, which go all around because it has like an all-in-one facing which encloses it all. And I just use, so to be honest with you, what I should do, hang on, let me just show you, and then I'll show you like properly. So this is the facing. What I should do really is probably bind all that in, so all the seams are enclosed apart from the armhole. I thought no one's going to see that. And again, I just wanted to get it done. So I'm quite pleased with the fit. I had a bit of bother. I was going by the finished sizes, and it ended up I just cut out a size that was just too big. And so I thought, what do I need to do? So I did a 1-inch narrow shoulder adjustment. Now, I could probably add a shoulder pad if I wanted it to sort of stand up a bit, but I think that's fine. I said before that I seem to have lopsided shoulders. This one's lower than the other one. Let me just move the camera, wobbly tripod, so you can see full length. You have to excuse me, I'm wearing a t-shirt, a ready-to-wear t-shirt which shrank by about a good 2 inches in the first wash, and I'm wearing shorts because it got really hot today. But I thought this top kind of colour coordinates with the jacket, which is why I haven't changed it into anything else. Now, the lapels, so this is just like an all-in-one and it folds over, but I do think I need to give this more of a press because I find myself fiddling around to get it to fit, or I might just put a couple of stitches in there. The jacket is an open jacket, but it does say you can put like a single hook and eye just there to hold it if you want. They said it's personal preference. So I haven't done anything yet. So it's quite a cropped length. Now, I'm trying to remember what I did. I think I did shortened it by 1 inch at the waist, because I tend to do that as I'm 5'3". I'm short-waisted. So I found when I held the pattern piece up, it was too low down, so I shortened it like that. I was on a 1 inch narrow shoulder adjustment. Then I also found that the seam was like sloping forward, and that's because I've got really bad posture. And so a lot of fiddling about, a lot of different muslins later, I then realised if I added, and this may not be the correct alteration to do, I added an inch to the front shoulder and took 1 inch off the back shoulder, just to kind of shift everything back. And where I took it, I got the line here and kept that the same. Didn't add any, I didn't move the seam line from there, but I added it here at the neck, because I thought if I move that and always fiddle about that and add 1 inch and take off 1 inch, I'm messing with the armhole, and then that could cause all sorts of problems. So I didn't bother. So I think that's relatively, I mean, it's probably still not perfect, but it should be fairly centered. And so this is the back. I think it's quite a nice jacket. I mean, I wasn't sure on the length, the sleeve length, whether it was too long so it looks like it's shrunk or not. But if you're doing stuff and you go like that, then it is a proper like 3/4 length sleeve. And I think if I shortened it any more, it would look like a silly length. So that I haven't made a big four in ages actually, but I think it looks, you know, I think that is how it's supposed to look. I'm quite pleased with it, and the instructions are like really easy. So as with most patterns, for me, the hard work is in the fitting, not in following necessarily the instructions. I would definitely recommend this pattern though, but I did have to size down to what I thought it would. Now the other thing that I'm thinking of it going with is a dress. So the wedding that I've got is, there is a dress code, and it's Smart Garden Party. I mean, last wedding I went to was 13 years ago in a church, in Northern Ireland, very dressed up. Everyone was very, you know, dressed to the nines. But apparently, according to my colleague at work, weddings are not like that anymore, and they are more of a sort of a casual affair. So I have done a video all about wedding guest dresses, looking for inspiration on the high street and in sewing patterns as well. So if you've got a wedding, a family party, a fancy barbecue, any kind of celebration this year, and you're not sure where to look, what to make, whether to buy or what have you, I will link that video down in the description box below. I know not everyone has an event, but like I said, I had a job interview come up and I didn't have anything to wear. So now I have I only have a jacket. I don't have anything else to go with it. But I think this would go with navy, which brings me on to the dress. Now I'm looking down here because I've got my fabric, so I will show you that in a second. I decided, I mean, wedding favourites tend to be the Sew Over at Eve dress and the Deer and Doe Magnolia dress. They're quite, or the Closet Core Elodie dress. They come up quite often in conversations when people are talking about going to weddings. You have got things like a full circle skirt and, you know, quite sort of like elaborate dresses and things. So they are quite popular makes in the sewing community. But I wasn't sure. I was going to go Deer and Doe Magnolia, but then I discovered the Lois Dress by Tessuti Patterns. This is my wearable muslin for the Lois Dress. This is just out of a cheap viscose fabric, and I'll pan down in a minute because it's a really long length. Normally, like I said, I shorten things by 1 inch. There aren't any shortened lines because there's no real waist seam as such, so I haven't shortened it, but I think I need to. So it's probably hard to tell from here, but basically the skirt comes up like this shape and then goes down. There's no gathering, it just, the cups kind of thing just sit straight in that. And then unusually it has a dart, I'll just show you. So it has a dart at the side, and then the zip goes into the dart, so there's no real side seam. And now I can't zip it back up. Hang on, there we go. So the zip goes up, but the armhole is in one, so you don't have the pull of the zip in your armpit, so that makes it a bit more comfortable. And I did wonder, because sometimes with side zips I find that they don't give you enough room to get in. but this was fine. I actually think that I need to size down. So I did various iterations of sizes and fiddled about, but in the end I cut a size 12. My measurements came out as a size 14, so double check, and upon looking at reviews they all say this comes up quite big. So I cut a 12, but then also I moved the shoulder seam back like I did on the jacket. So this may be where I need to start altering in future. So I did a 1 inch narrow shoulder adjustment, but then moved that seam, added an extra 1 inch to the front and took 1 inch off the back just to get things sitting right, because it was sort of, it wasn't sitting great. And I have graded out to 14, but it's very roomy, and I think I need to just perhaps do a straight 12 all the way down. So it is quite a low front. I mean, if you weren't happy with it, you could then obviously raise it up slightly or put a pin in, but I quite like it. I mean, I don't normally wear things, I can see like stray threads. I don't normally wear things this low cut, but do you know what, like I said, special occasion, it's nothing to be ashamed of. The only thing is, it has some like these bands that you put on. So it has like a grown on sleeve and then a band that you put on. And it did say instructions of how to put them on without it twisting, but it's really twisted. So I don't think that I would include the band. I think I'd finish it a different way, but I will come to that in a second. I will just step back, perhaps take my socks off. That might be a better look. Oh, let's just kick everything out of the way. Can you see? I'm going to pan you down. This is the dress here, and I just feel that I mean, I haven't hemmed it, so this is just raw, and I have been letting it drop just to sort of see where it lands. But I think it's too long. I think that it needs to be like here, like knee length. I think that's a younger look, and I think sometimes if you're not that tall and you have a long dress, it can just make you seem that you're too small for the dress, too short for the dress. So I think maybe either hit me at the knee or just below my knee. I know this is black and the jacket is blue, but I did think that because it's like a V neckline with lapels, that would go quite nice. And because it's kind of like an empire waist dress, you're not fighting with waist seams or anything with the jacket being cropped. And I think that would just dress it up nicely for during the day and just get a bit of extra warmth, because I think it's mainly either a marquee or outside the wedding that I'm going to. But I think that would go quite nicely, and I'll show you what fabric I've got. Now, I had a look online, and I know a lot of people would go summer wedding or spring summer wedding, go for a nice big bold floral print. I'm not a big fan of floral, but I did think I can look past that. But because I'd already made my jacket, a lot of the florals then I would have to pick something out with perhaps a blue in, and then it's really hard to pick fabric online if I'm matching it with something that I've already got, unless of course you want fabric samples. I just don't have time to like worry about this. So I went to a local fabric shop, which I haven't been to a few years because of COVID, and because when I go in there I have bought novelty prints which I don't wear, and I'll get sucked in by the prints basically. But I did go, and they had a sale rail, and this is £1 a metre, some kind of lining fabric. The lady didn't know, I guess it's like a polyester, kind of rustly. So this is going to be, and because it was £1 a metre, I bought 5 metres. So I don't need 5 metres, I only need like 2 to make this dress. So I was thinking this, but lace. Now I have only sewn a lace dress once, and I was a bit crazy because it was 7 years ago, so I hadn't been sewing for that long. And a friend of mine, her brother was getting married, and she wanted something to wear to her brother's wedding. She hates going clothes shopping. I hate clothes shopping, so I could relate. And so I just went, oh, why don't I make you a dress? I mean, I hadn't been sewing that long, I didn't have a clue. Anyway, she came with me to the fabric shop, and we picked out, I think it was a new look pattern, kind of like a shift dress type thing. It had like waist seams, it had some pleating in. But then when I tried to guide her into like the florals, she said it wasn't that sort of dressy, as she was going to be the groom's, you know, she was the groom's sister. So she picked out lace with a satin lining. I mean, I was like, yeah, no problem. I've read a few blogs about sewing with lace. So anyway, long story short, she wore the dress, she loved it, she had compliments on it, but I've never sewn with lace ever again. But I thought maybe it's time to get over that. So I've got this navy lace here, and it has like the scallop at the bottom, can you see? So you obviously can cut that like selvage off, and then you just have the scallop. And what I did for her dress, and what I'll probably do for mine, is have it so you have the lining at, say, the knee or just above the knee, and then you have the lace which just drops a little bit lower, so you just see through that lace and you see like the leg, but it's shown off because you've got like that sort of effect. So if the lining went all the way down to the bottom, you wouldn't see the lovely detail of the lace. So you just have it so it finishes and then the lace goes a bit longer. I think this is a stretch. She say this is a stretch. I'm sure I saw it's got a bit of stretch to it. And the last time I made anything with the lace, it stretched out. And so I don't know. I'm going to be taking my time with it. I do have a few weeks before I have to fully make it. And I know somebody commented on somewhere, one of my videos, I think, my previous video, and said, but if you have a lace dress, you can't wear it again. Well, my husband had a Christmas works due and that came up out of the blue, and he changed his job at the end of last year. I had no time to make anything. I ended up buying a dress which had lace in it. So I think if anything comes up and he has a works due which is like a posh thing, I'm good to go. Well, I'm not at the minute because this is just literally a pile of fabric. But it was only £7.50 a metre for the lace, and with this lining it was £1 a metre. So obviously I got 5 of that. I got a metre of interfacing and a small zip. So the whole, and I think I've already got thread. So I got all of this for less than £30. So if I can make the dress, there's no way that I would be able to even, you know, buy a dress for that. And I think that being the lace, it just takes it up another notch. So if I have the navy here, I think it will go with the jacket. I think it will set it off. It's hard to tell because it's so bright in here how it's coming across on camera. In my viewfinder it looks very dark. But I think they will go, and I haven't got to worry about different coloured patterns clashing with the jacket. If you want to keep an eye on my progress of how I'm getting on with the dress, then don't forget to hit subscribe, and also check out my video here all about occasion and wedding guest dresses.